Bring her back. Oh god.
Or maybe to the Night King.
The Night Queen.
Night Queen, there you go.
Boom, boom.
Maybe Bran.
Is that it?
No, it's not.
I was like, what the fuck?
5 years later.
Grey Worm doesn't know?
No, I think some time has passed.
Oh. We don't get to see reactions to people finding out Dany died?
Let's see where we're at right now.
Where's Jon?
He is our prisoner.
So is Lord Tyrion. They were both to be brought to this gathering.
We will decide what we do with our prisoners. This is our city now.
Cersei is gone because of her, and Jon Snow put a knife in her heart. Let the Unsullied give him what he deserves.
Woo!
Say another word about killing my brother and I'll cut your throat.
This fate is for our king to decide. Or our queen.
We don't have a king or queen.
You're the most powerful people in Westeros.
How is
Choose
he
one.
still giving advice? He's a prisoner. And they're still like, oh yeah, let's listen to him.
And I'd like to think my experience has led to some small skill in statecraft and
Please sit.
Oh. Oh.
Oh, this poor guy.
Bonk.
What?
Maybe the decision about what's best for everyone should be left to, well, everyone.
Oh, democracy.
The Iron State.
What is this craziness you're talking about?
maybe we should give the dogs a vote as well.
So my horse.
I've had nothing to do but think these past few weeks about our bloody history. And who has a better story than Bran the Broken?
Bran the Broken? Oh Lord.
The High Tower and lived. He crossed beyond.
He's not even a person anymore.
And became the three-eyed raven. He is our memory.
Oh.
The keeper of all our stories. The wars, weddings, births, massacres, famines, our triumphs, our defeats, our past.
Is that why he's taking such a back seat this whole season?
Will you lead the Seven Kingdoms to the best of your abilities from this day until your last day?
Bran.
Why do you think I came all this way?
Oh.
Oh,
my
damn, he's doing it.
God. He's not even a person.
Brandon of House Stark.
Tyrion the prisoner just called this whole situation for everyone.
He led this whole diplomatic meeting.
Aye. I'm not sure I get it all, but aye. Aye.
But tens of thousands of Northmen fell in the Great War, defending all of Westeros. And those who survived have seen too much and fought too hard ever to kneel again. The North will remain an independent kingdom, as it was for thousands of years.
Queen of the North, Sansa Stark, y'all. Fuck you, Sansa haters.
Brad Broken. I honestly see some logic behind the choice for Bran.
He's not he's becoming a tree in the fucking books. Okay? He's literally turning into a tree.
But at the same time, I'm like,
You will be my hand.
What?
Oh, your grace.
oh no! I don't want to be a king.
I don't deserve it.
He's made many terrible mistakes. He's going to spend the rest of his life fixing them.
Aw, Tyrion gets to live.
Oh my god.
So our new king has chosen to send you to the Night's Watch.
Ah.
Back to the night. Oh
There's
my
still a Night's Watch.
What are they watching?
The world will always need a home for bastards and broken men. I don't expect we'll ever see each other again. I wouldn't be so sure. A few years as Hand of the King would make anyone want to piss off the edge of the world. The North is free thanks to you.
But they lost their king.
Ned Stark's daughter will speak for them. She's the best they could ask for.
I'm not going back north.
Ever.
Where are you going?
What's west of Westeros? That's where I'm going.
Cool.
You have your needle.
Right here.
Aww.
I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me.
You were exactly where you were supposed to be.
My plan the whole time was to become king. Just let you people do all the work. So I could be here in the end. I had no real involvement. I had really no involvement in any of this.
Oh my god.
But here I am. Now she's gonna come across Jaime's story. Now she's gonna finish his story. A lot of empty pages left for Jaime to fill out here.
Why is everybody else's one page? Jaime's is like 15.
Oh my god. Are you fucking kidding me?
You gotta let that try for longer.
What?
And smeared all over.
The show only has 6 episodes, John.
Don't have time for Drogon.
I'm half hoping Drogon just shows up at the end and
Kill.
annihilates everyone. He's like, I waited for all of you to come together.
Fucking murders them all.
I knew what that Iron Throne was.
Bronn?
Bronn still standing, my man. That's not.
Half Mr. Ebro's history of the wars following the death of King Robert. I helped him with that title.
The Hobbit, an unexpected journey.
Say that.
And Drogon? Any word?
He was last spotted flying east.
Farther away, the better.
Perhaps I can find him. Do carry on with the rest.
Lord Davos, we have an armada to rebuild and forts to repair.
We have. These projects will begin as soon as the Master of Coin and Lord of Lofty Titles provides for them.
Master of Ships, but first he has to ensure we're not wasting coin, or soon there won't be no more coin. The Master of Coin is willing to fund reconstruction.
This is like the end of a comedy. What's going on here? Play like
Cycle
some
starts
string
over.
music.
I think we can all agree that ships take precedence over brothels.
Tormund! The boat!
My man.
It's a really cute callback to season 1. My baby was here. You don't deserve him, John. My girl.
Remember when the wildlings were their enemies?
Remember when John being a Targaryen meant something?
The kind of did just drop. Maybe looking up some online articles later on tonight. Find out what that was about, that ending. Why specifically that? Well, I guess we'll have some thoughts. Let's talk about this. What was happening at the end?
It's just him going with the wildlings because Tormund had said that he was going to take the wildlings to find new land up north because the Watch no longer existed. So I'm assuming they were just going off to find new land together.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So Arya goes west, 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 and they go north, north, north.
Yeah.
Just see what's on the upsides of the map.
Gotcha. Well, that was that. We are going to do a season review of this probably tomorrow or Tuesday perhaps. We're just going to stick to this episode specifically right now. Before we do that, I would like to give a patron of the day shout out to a lovely lady, Rosa Parra, who loves this show. She has her own Twitter account and does her own blogs and movie reviews, Rosa Reviews. Highly check it out. She does a lot of giveaways and such, and she is such a Game of Thrones enthusiast. You deserved a shout out here before we obviously will dive into some criticisms about some stuff.
Lady Stark of our channel.
But she is the Lady Stark of our channel, so yeah. I know this show has that thing where it's gonna be near impossible to completely satisfy fans on how to conclude this show. This is the series finale, a near impossible task. Most shows don't stick the landing. There are some shows that have. For me, I can't help but it's like as much as my brain wants to be forgiving, like, oh, it had the impossible task, it really did ultimately feel like a rather lackluster episode, if I'm being totally honest with myself. It did.
The event of a generation, it fell on the floor like a bunch of lip noodles to me.
Wow. That's blunt force. I mean, hey, you got a lot of things right that people did not think you would get right. What's funny is I always say, like, I bet no one's gonna send the Iron Throne. I would say that. As it got towards here, I was like, well, maybe John will now, I guess. But then didn't. I'm like, oh, I should have stuck with that original theory. John, what'd you think?
I thought this was great. It had everything I wanted. It was the perfect ending to the perfect show. I can't imagine any fans being pissed off. Honestly, I thought it was okay. It's the kind of thing where it's not exactly the ending to the show that I perhaps would have wanted. It's not doing the same thing that made me love it in the first place necessarily. However, given that I've had, season 7A and season 8 or 7B or whatever this is, they have a uniformity with each other. With that in mind, okay, for this season of TV that I did watch, whether or not it was what I hoped it would be, this is okay. Some stuff surprised me, some stuff I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Some stuff I was like, I wouldn't have made that choice, but I thought it was alright. The thing is, every one of these episodes, I sit here and I'm like, I'm really engrossed in the episode. Most of these have been really compelling just as singular episodes that have been really well crafted and really engrossing. It's weird to watch a show that is doing everything except the underlying stuff you really needed to do.
Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna be blunt. I didn't like a lot of the way the choices went down here. Jon Snow, especially the way they've handled him this entire season. It's like, I'm sure we're gonna do a full season review, but I'm sure some stuff will bleed over in terms of talking about a season as a whole. I really liked the idea of after Tyrion officially was like, I'm not siding with you. I saw, my brother and sister laying there, and then he throws the pin away and then he's a prisoner. The way Jon was communicating with Tyrion, I found myself as a viewer going, I'm gonna give him a pass because I'm thinking maybe he's just in hardcore denial. But then I've been like looking over a lot of things Jon has said or done in this season, and I'm like, there's a lack of strong logic. Like everything he's saying I just wasn't on board. The thought process of things. Then you even get to the moment before he kills Dany, which it's leading up to it, and I think I said it right before he did it. He's like, he's gonna stab her, right? Like, it just seems like it's going down that path. Even for Dany in that scene, I was thinking, what's she doing after all that shit? There was one element to that. I like how she has this very specific perception of what she's doing. She didn't turn into Cersei, she didn't turn into, look at me, I'm the Mad Queen, She turned into a person who thought, I'm really doing a great deed. And I liked seeing that insight. Of course, We've said this many times. I'm sure in other Game of Thrones seasons, probably would have been able to be the Iron Throne Queen for a little bit, and we would have been able to explore a little bit more of that. And then here you get that. It's interesting. I kept getting pulled out of that scene though, once she got close to Jon, because I was thinking, didn't a character bring up earlier, was it Arya who said, Dany knows who you really are, and you see what she does? I couldn't agree more with Arya, and it seems like the writing had completely forgotten that side. I just did not buy that Dany would be still like, rule with me and be romantic with me. I just didn't, I like at that point after we had this giant switch, it did not line up for me.
She's still like, I love you. Yeah, you're not a problem at all for me. Even not killing Tyrion on the spot.
That's out of character. Those are out of character. It's out of character.
She's supposed to be evil.
Yeah.
She would have been like Dracarys and burn him right then and there. But like the writing is just so inconsistent. Like either you go full force or you don't go there at all.
The episode truly lost me once Drogon did not kill Jon. Once that happened, I thought of the writers thinking about the audience will be mad at us if we kill Jon. We know Drogon. We know that dragon. He would annihilate Jon right then and there. He would.
I don't think the dragon is going to say, you know, Daenerys has really kind of gone off the deep end though, Jon. I agree with you.
Or you know what? I sense that little bit of Targaryen in you, so I'm gonna let you live.
Yeah.
Like that's not. He would have burnt him.
He would have.
He would have.
I feel like he would.
Or Grey Worm would have. The second he saw Jon, he would have killed him.
Especially with Grey Worms. Yeah.
I feel like Drogon and burning him up could have even been satisfying in a way.
Agreed.
Because it's like he did what he knew he had to do and he came back one time to get him to here. It's kind of like a Barrack moment, but you could have made it a bigger version of that in order to, you know, keep the world from Dany's wheel.
And this convenient conclusion, I guess what they were trying to do with some of these characters. To me, there's a difference when you go against the arc and you go back to who you were as opposed to coming full circle. You know what I mean? Like there's a different things. When they say, Jon, you're going back to the Night's Watch, and then he goes, there's still a Night's Watch. There's a reason they threw that line in there. Because all of us were like, there's still a Night's Watch? What a convenient thing for happening in the show so Jon can live on.
And why wouldn't Grey Worm kill him immediately?
And there's settings. They set something up with those two, and there's no payoff to it. What are they doing, the Unsullied?
Are they starting their own house or something?
Yeah, they're going off tonight. Who cares, okay? Who gives a shit? What I have a problem with, you let a prisoner dictate your fucking diplomatic meeting?
Oh yeah. At first I was like, well, you know, it's Tyrion. They all know. Then as it kept going, no, he's running this now. He's like fully guiding this whole decision making on everything.
I mean, he is the most authoritative and he does have the best political experience.
He's a prisoner and he's evidently made so many terrible decisions. And he gets to win in the end by still being hand of the king.
You still give him hand of the king. He should have died. He should have been sent to the fucking Night's Watch. This is insane to me. Some of the choices they made.
Like Bran becoming the king.
Oh my gosh.
That side to me, when I was hearing Tyrion speak out, there were elements of what he was saying that I said to myself, oh, you know what? There's actually a lot of this that makes sense to me. Especially because, you know, you could see the past, present, and future and navigate his mind here. And he's evidently is a good dude.
He doesn't have the hunger for power.
Yes.
And that's important.
Right. There was that. The show did not earn it, though. I do not think it earned it. Bran took a big back seat for so many things. It seems so inconsequential for so much. And then out of nowhere, he's the king. I'm like, nah, the show didn't earn that.
It's like the person in college who does the littlest work on a group project, but gets the most points on the project. Like, they get the same amount of points. And you're like, you didn't earn any of this.
Yeah, I'm like, you weren't involved in anything.
He's had a whole arc and a whole journey across the show. I mean, not that it was always the most compelling, but
that's his arc.
Yeah, but he becomes a being with all of this knowledge, wisdom, insight.
The whole point of the Three-Eyed Raven, he's off in his own little world. He sits there, he's the protector. He has no involvement in the politicals. That's the whole point of the Three-Eyed Raven. And how come no one raised their hand and was like, so this technically the Starks end up ruling everything? Because you have Bran Stark as the king here and Sansa as the queen in the north. So they technically, the Starks still end up ruling all of the 7 kingdoms.
6.
Yeah, we won.
7 because she's queen in the north.
Sure, he did have an arc. With Bran becoming king, sure, he did have an arc and yada, yada, yada. But in terms of the show, he's kind of been very absent. And for some very important pivotal moment like that, I had close to no emotion for something like that. I was more just, okay, sure.
I guess that never bothered me because like most of our like core, the characters we love are never kings. Like they're always people below that rank, so it's not really dissatisfying for me.
Is it satisfying?
I wasn't unhappy about it. I don't know. I think I'm the lone person who's like, yeah, I think that's like whether or not it makes logical sense with the rules set forth. I'm sure more well thought out in the books or whatever. I don't know. I like Bran and I agree with the logic of like, yeah, the guy with all the perspective who doesn't want power is probably the best person to figure out what to do with the world. So
if it was in character at all, the Thread Raven would have looked at them and said, no.
I'm sure, yeah. I mean, there's
not.
logic, but just as an emotional viewing experience, I was like, oh, I wouldn't have been satisfied if Dany or Jon had sat on the throne or Tyrion. Like, nobody seemed to deserve it, and it was the one choice where I was like, yeah, I could see that. Because, like, Sansa, like, I think Queen of the North is awesome for Sansa. Arya doesn't want a throne. None of these other guys, like, you know, like, the one guy gets up to make his case, and they're like, dude, shut it down. The only person on that panel, at least, or left, who's gonna, Grey Worm? Like, Bran was the only one that seemed like a decent choice and that could start a new wheel for the world that isn't tyrannical, you know?
True. But how come that whole thing with Jon Snow being rightful heir to the king because he's Targaryen was not once brought up?
Yeah, it's not.
And why? What is
it's
the
full
purpose
of problems. I'm just saying Bran specifically.
What is the purpose of that in the it's literally in the context of the show to drive Dany mad. Because at the end of the show, he ends up still a bastard with no name at the fucking Night's Watch. He's back to where he was at the beginning. Who cares? Serves no purpose except to drive Dany.
I guess they weaned out the tyrants.
Like,
I'm trying to understand what the reasoning behind the choices. All the tyrants are gone now. Well, you needed to let one tyrant let loose to get rid of another tyrant, and then Jon swoops in and then kills that one tyrant. That was his purpose. Well, and then Bran wheels on in and goes, all right, I'm king now. I did really nothing to do with the Night King, and I did nothing really to get to the king's spot, but here I am.
Bronn is the master of coin. Are you kidding me? The biggest thief, and the biggest you have as the master of coin, and then you have him talking about brothels. That's really what I want in the last episode of Game of Thrones is Bronn sitting there making jokes about brothels.
Brienne's arc was something to me.
To give Jaime a nice story in that book.
Yeah.
I wish she had given him an honest story.
I wish she had gotten like 3 lines in this movie. Yeah.
Oh yeah. She could have had like some speech or a good moment in this episode. That would have been great.
Like lack of conclusion there.
Died protecting his queen.
I think
you could say either.
I think Podrick had like 20 lines this whole season.
Yeah. But hey, he got to do it. He had a 3-way. Now he's, got a high position with the king.
Yeah, it's all amazing stuff.
Doing great in the background there.
I honestly think they could have earned the Bran stuff. What's annoying is he just kind of took a back seat. Like on the flip side, I felt like Cersei's death would have been more rewarding if we had spent more time with Cersei. These choices I think could have worked. But man, the lack of episodes really hampered this down.
We see no reaction to Dany being dead. We literally do a time jump.
I was like, okay, now we gotta resolve this. Now we gotta wrap this up. Yeah.
It's incredibly disappointing.
Were there some cool shots? And did they do a bunch of different remixes of that main theme that were awesome? Oh yeah, that was great.
And hey guys, they wrote the book, A Song of Fire and Ice. They did the cliche book writing.
To the Lord of the Rings.
George R.R. Martin may never finish it, but we got it.
George R.R. Martin's gonna go, that's not the book I wrote. Here. Here's the final 2 books. This is what it is.
I can't believe they went that cliche route of it's the book. Here it is.
Honestly, like this episode totally lost me once Jon didn't die. Once that happened, I'm like, nope, show pussied out. Yeah, that's
once Drogon just picked up Dany and flew off.
Drogon suddenly had a political mentality about the whole thing. It's like symbolism burned this Iron Throne down.
Drogon was literally the audience.
That makes no sense.
Yeah. Piecing out. Drogon was all of us going.
That does not click.
Yeah, see, this episode is filled with things from one specific perspective are interesting or cool, but that as a whole just don't quite work together or coalesce. Yeah, because it's like I love that Drogon had the presence of mind to melt the Iron Throne almost as if to sense that like this is a poisonous thing that just causes harm.
How would he know?
But no, yeah, it doesn't make any sense really.
That was Daenerys' first time seeing the Iron Throne.
Yeah, no, of course. It's a complete, I literally said like I'm not making an actual argument.
It's I knew
The
that I
only-
had to destroy this.
Daenerys should have sat in that chair. Even
At
if
least
you want to
one.
kill her in that same scene, I felt like she should have sat in the chair.
Agreed. It's so frustrating, and it's frustrating that
Watch her burn a whole city to not even sit in the fucking chair. I feel like they just don't love their characters anymore.
And it was literally 10 seconds after she burnt the city. Like, she doesn't immediately go sit in the chair. I don't understand the timelines.
Tyrion even being like, I thought I was wise, yada yada. I'm like, you just made this whole decision for everybody. Of course they're gonna be like, you should be handed the. Like everyone in that table would be like, yeah, you should be handed the king, completely disregarding, even why he's in prison to begin with because of the countless mistakes he's made.
The whole entire Game of Thrones series, the Starks have spent trying to get back together, and it ends with them separated.
It ends with them winning. And we all won too.
We're the winners.
We're all a winner.
I feel like it would have been rewarding if this season specifically had a stronger focal point. Because there was a time in the beginning of this show, in the first couple of seasons or whatever, where I'd be like, man, I really hope this show ends where the Starks get a win because, man,
Yeah.
they suffer and they're the good ones. And then by the time it got to these final moments, I was like, oh yeah, the Starks won. Yeah, okay. Kind of forgot about that whole thing I used to feel about, I really want the Starks to win. Because I'm so wrapped up in all this other stuff and they're just like concluding, checklist. See, I'm not even criticizing this off of what I felt like this is how it should have gone down.
Yeah.
It's not even that.
Based on what we got.
I'm literally criticizing this based off of what I just watched.
There's a lot of inconsistency and a lot of stuff that
A lot of
is
things that-
either slighted or left to hang or
Correct.
mishandled.
Yeah.
Just not
There's a lot
done
of
well.
partial hits and not a lot of full-on hits.
Where's the horse? What was the whole
What was
symbolism
the whole thing with the horse? Yeah.
Like, Drogon was the best part. Drogon's just off with Danny's body somewhere. No resolution to that.
Oh,
Just-
yeah. If Bran's gonna find him.
He's eating her. He's like a cat. It's like they say if you die in a house with a cat, eventually they'll just start eating you.
That's dogs too.
Yeah. Oh, well, hey, any pet,
I'll give them this. They wrapped it up.
They did deliver episodes with an ending for the show in mind.
I mean, you can't end it all on a finite note. You do have to end some of these on she's gonna rule. They're gonna do this. They're gonna travel there. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with some characters having like open-ended storylines. They did wrap it up.
And at least Sansa's queen in the north, and at least we're free now. So there's that.
Hey, Brienne made it to the end, which for me is a victory. in
Yes,
itself.
she did.
Yeah.
Writing about her lover.
And Ghost and Drogon.
Oh yeah,
It's the end.
and Ghost made it to the end. John actually looked happy to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked very appreciative.
I think he was happy the show was ending.
They full arced it with his hair and him with Ghost. They
Back at the night
fully
slot.
arced it.
That's what people came here for.
Oh Lord.
Subscribe to The Real Rejects. Click that notification bell. We'll catch you guys soon.